Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and something I need to talk about that I need to talk about more and more as I'm adjusting my training style back to something similar to what I used to do is this idea that people need to understand that for the overwhelming majority of lifters out there, training minimalism is going to be the way to go. And I can't stress that enough. And I think people are seeing me do different things now. They're seeing me do conjugate training, concurrent periodization, a lot of exercise variation, accommodating resistance, supplemental lifts. And they're like, Jason, you've abandoned minimalism. No, I've never abandoned minimalism. I rebuilt my base again off minimalism. The majority of people out there would do best to focus on training minimalism. And what do we mean as training minimalism? A heavy focus on the basics, meaning 80 to 90% of your time training should be spent doing basic conventional exercises, right? That's the point. That's what the majority of people are going to benefit most from doing, and it's going to be the most efficient and effective use of your time. And what do I mean by that? Well, people who are trying to get to the natty standards that I give you guys, right? What are those natty standards? Did I tell you that you're going to look like you're big and you're going to look like you lift top to bottom walking down the street and probably have reasonable body composition if you get to a 500 raw deadlift, a 400 squat, 300 bench, 200 standing press, and a 100-pound weighted pull-up or chin-up, right? If you can do all 5 of those, because again, your weighted chin-up and pull-up is going to be limited by your body fat. So if you're fat, you're going to struggle with that 5th one, even if you get the other 4. So it's thrown in there for a good reason, and it's going to give you a little bit of bicep. When I say that, I literally mean that. The majority of you out there are going to look bigger and stronger and be more jacked than most people even who go to a gym, if you can reach those goals. You're going to be way above average. Doesn't mean you're going to be exceptional. And when I give those standards, what I'm telling you is that those standards can be achieved with training minimalism. And in fact, if you deviate too much from minimalism, or again, a heavy focus on the basics, spending the vast majority of your time working on a few basic exercises with just good progressive overload, then it's going to be detrimental. It's kind of like if I tell you guys, hey, curls are great, side laterals are great, cable flies are great. Young guys who haven't built a base here, that's what I should be doing. And it's not necessarily a problem. It's probably not going to stunt your growth to do a few curls. In fact, it might even add, not in your first year lifting. We know novice lifters don't gain anything from curls if they're already doing back pulling, right? And we know they don't gain anything in their triceps if they're already benching with any reasonable volume. So it's probably not going to add anything, but it's probably not going to hurt you either. There's no harm there. The problem is that when you say, hey, it's okay to do those, all of a sudden, a lot of younger guys who are still struggling to build a base will do what? They will quit doing the basics to do those things. They'll start skipping squats to do more cable curls. And that's exactly what happens. And that is the reason I push people away from this stuff. It's not that these things are not beneficial to more advanced lifters. It's not that specialized work and weak point training isn't useful to more advanced lifters, particularly those of us who build an enormous workload, right? You can't come in and do endless sets of squats and deadlifts every day. If you could recover from it, it would work great, but we can't. And for those of us who are getting more and more advanced, in order to push through plateaus and to get through sticking points and to make continual progress, we have to keep improving our work capacity. And we've got to balance our work capacity with our recovery and maximum recoverable volume. And a lot of specialized exercises allow us to do that. The novice lifter doesn't have this problem. They're still learning the motor patterns. They're still learning to bench press correctly. But I can tell you right now, as a healthy young man, if you can only bench 185 for 5 reps, you probably don't even know how to bench. You're still learning how to put your feet into the ground hard and dig in and drive the bar off your chest correctly. That I can almost guarantee you still are still learning how to bench press. If you're only squatting, 265 for a set of 5, you're probably still learning how to barbell squat. Like, you don't have the basics even down. So you're still in that learning phase for learning these basic exercises. And if you start deviating away from them, you don't learn the movement patterns. You start getting involved in a lot of fluff that is not necessarily going to make good use of your training time. Furthermore, most people who are out here lifting have limited training time, right? Limited recovery on top of that. A lot of people out there who might be a big part of my target audience, my target demographic, they listen to these videos while they're at work. Like, I know based upon my analytics page, I have an enormous number of men like in their 30s who watch my channel. Like 25 to 35-year-old men is literally 70% of my audience. That is 70% of my audience falls in that one specific demographic. Most of them have careers, jobs. A lot of them married with kids. Like, I look at my Facebook fan page, married dudes with kids. They watch my stuff, posting my stuff while they're at work or on their breaks and things like that. All right, when you have that sort of lifestyle, you don't have limitless gym time. You don't have time to do 2-hour conjugate style training 4 days a week and then small workouts on your off days and then conditioning work and everything else, right? They generally don't have that sort of time. They're pushing the limit. A lot of the guys who are in that situation, they're lucky if they can get to the gym for an hour and a half 3 times a week. And if that's all you can do, if literally all you have is 5 hours to get to the gym, if that's the entirety of your weekly training time that you can afford, doing anything but training minimalism would be actually a really, really bad idea. It would be a really bad idea if you only have 4 to 5 hours a week that you can get to the gym, or even to your garage gym if you have a home gym, right? So you need to focus on the basics. And when I say that people can reach those goals just doing a few exercises, you can probably reach those goals doing 5 lifts for 90% of your training. You can just do the lifts that I had listed: squat, bench, deadlift, overhead press, weighted chin-ups, and, devote 10% of your time to doing other stuff. You could do some curls or some rows or extra ab work or some side laterals or some extra hamstring work, right? You could do those things, but that's going to be about 10% of your training time, baby, maybe 20%. But for people who have limited time in the gym, who are not ultra advanced lifters, who are just trying to reach those goals so that they're going to look jacked and just want to be reasonably big, reasonably strong, and have people look at them and be like, "Oh, yeah, that guy's pretty strong. That guy looks like he lifts, right? That guy looks like he lifts top to bottom. He's even got thighs. He's got quads. He's got traps. He's got everything, right?" If that's what you're looking for, that can be done with minimalist training. You're not being a strength specialist. You're not specializing in competitive lifting as a serious athlete. Because I'll be honest with you guys, man, a 300 bench and a 400 squat's not going to cut it in a powerlifting meet unless you're at a very low weight class. You better be pretty short. So the point there is that you can do that with the minimalism. It's not necessary to do all this extra stuff. And I say that because, again, most people don't have a base built. The overwhelming majority of people out there listening even to YouTube Fitness do not have a strength base built or a size base built. They have chicken legs. And they might have a little bit of bicep because they've been doing some curls, but they usually have no back, no chest, no quads, definitely no hamstrings. And by focusing on those 5 lifts with a little bit of supplemental work, because look, you can all do some extra stuff. I'm not telling anyone you only have to do those 5. I don't have any programs that only have those 5 lifts. I don't even write programs that small. There's always a little bit of supplemental stuff in there because there should be. But you can reach those goals training those 5 lifts with 90% of your time starting off with linear progression and maybe linear periodization or some concurrent periodization, right? You can reach those goals and you can build your base doing that. It's not necessary to do all this more advanced stuff. But we're dealing with apples and oranges. But, would I have a lifter come to me? If a lifter came to me who had access to all this equipment and they were still somewhat a novice and they were going to pay me as a coach to get them to be the most advanced power lifter they could be as quickly as possible, we might do some different training. But I'm going to expect their lifestyle to revolve around it. Because if they're going to train in the sort of manner that I'm training, they're going to have to put their training as a priority in their life. All right? That means there's no going out partying. There's no chasing pussy. They're going to have to be a serious athlete and live their lifestyle accordingly. And that's what people forget with what I'm doing right now. There's a reason I can make some of this training work. Number one, I'm well past the strength standards I set. I've rebuilt my base again, even after setbacks, injuries, other stuff in my life, lifestyle factors. I've rebuilt my base. I have limitless sleep time. I make way more than enough just off this YouTube channel to live off of. Pay my bills, travel, right? I don't have a problem with that. I don't have to do a job if I don't want to. I don't even have to coach people or anything if I don't want to. I could easily live off of just what this channel makes alone without my merchandise or anything else. I have limitless free time. If I need to start sleeping 10 hours a night, I can do that. If I choose to not leave my house for 4 days straight and just to train and recover, I have the option to do that anytime I want. So I'm in a different situation. So my training is going to be geared towards that. But it's not necessarily going to be geared towards most of your goals out there. Most of you guys aren't trying to get to a 550 raw squat or a 650 pound deadlift, or trying to get your bench up close to 400, while weighing 200 pounds in masters. And most of you don't have limitless free time and sleep time. So your training needs are going to be different. Minimalist training works very well for people for a reason. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.